Welcome to A Comic Book Look, your weekly TV show on comic books and anything relating to comic books. I am your host, Tom. This is my esteemed co-host, John. And we're here to... We're back.
We're back.
We're back again. We're going to keep coming. But yeah, today is issue number 4. And our topic that we're going to be talking about is comic teams. So what's a comic team? What do I mean when I say that, John?
Comic book teams, oh my goodness, it could be a duo, it could be a trio, Fantastic Four, you got your Cloak and Dagger, you got the Justice League, you've got supervillain teams in any universe for that matter. Indie comics have them as well. It's basically just a group of people out there helping people or kind of not helping people, helping themselves.
Yeah.
Anything. I mean, there could be indifferent, groups of people. It's just something that kind of helps sell.
Yeah, and I guess it's something that
makes
we
it
see.
Interesting.
It's something that we see a lot in comics.
Yep.
It is something. It's a trope that comes back and back, and it's not something that I think is bad or good. It's when it's done good, it's great. When it's bad, it's bad. But there's plenty of things that are good about teams in comics.
Yep.
It kind of plays a big important role in the history of comics. I mean, the Marvel was created in the 50s, that crazy doctor said that comics were bad and that they'll rot kids' brains. Well, by the end of the 50s, DC was kind of coming out of that, and they released the Justice League books, and that started selling selling really well. And then so Stan Lee's boss, the creator of Marvel, said, Stan Lee, I need you to make a Justice League book for us, something just like that. That's selling. That's a selling rag. And so, Stan Lee came up with Fantastic Four and started the Marvel Universe.
I was going to ask if that's where Alpha Flight came from.
Oh, yeah. Alpha Flight is one of those bad teams.
Superior teams.
All right. Yeah. But the first comic book team was in 1940, Justice Society of America from DC. And that's, they still have books around now.
Yep.
So, the first one's around. And that was in 1940. That's 2 years after Superman.
Yep.
So, right at the beginning, they knew that put these fools together, you'll sell more books.
The interesting thing I thought, being JSA, one of the longest standing teams on there, is DC actually did a reset a while back as well, like they're doing coming up. Mm-hmm. And, if they're still selling books, that's kind of an interesting take on it too. When I first heard about the DC reset, I didn't know how to feel about it. I don't read a lot of DC titles personally on there, but if that happens, or happened with Marvel, I don't know, how I'd feel coming up to it.
Are you talking about the reboot?
Yeah, when they do a reboot like that. So I'm kind of curious to see how it's going to go coming up. Like it or not, it's coming, right? The ads are in the books. But I was kind of did you have any impression on what the first reboot that they did? I don't know what exactly it was.
Yeah, well, they kind of rebooted it in the 50s when they had the new Flash, and they had the new Green Lantern that were based on the Green Lantern and the Flash of the Golden Age, but they're different, and that's the start of the Silver Age of comics.
Sure.
And so, that kind of restarted it, unofficially rebooted. Then they did Infinite Crisis, and that rebooted it. And so now, this one seems to be more of a bigger line-wide reboot where, everything is going to be number one. There's nothing that's staying, the same. And yeah, but I'm excited for it. I'm one of the people that are positive about it, and I think change is good. If I wanted to read these stories about these characters, luckily I have, 50 plus years of material that's been published every single month or more on all these characters. So, we'll see what happens. I'm optimistic though.
Cool.
Yeah, but back to teams. I'll go into it. I think we should go over a little bit of some teams that we really like. One of my absolute favorite teams in comics is a book called Planetary. Planetary is from Wildstorm. It is written by Warren Ellis, drawn by John Cassaday, and it just finished in 2009, and I think it started in 1999 or somewhere around there. If I'm wrong, I'll put it down. And
infamous edits.
But it is a completely story, 27 issues, and it is an overarching story where these through these 27 issues, you get a beginning, middle, and end, and it is one of the best completed series in comics of all time. It's kind of a comic book lover's comic because it takes a lot of the tropes from pop culture and comic books. It's based on every single one of those 27 issues is a one-and-done, one-shot book. But they pepper enough into it that to show the whole overarching story, but you still, every single book, you can pull it out of your long box, read it, and you have a great read. So it has the actual team of Planetary is Elijah Snow, Jaquita, I'm pronouncing that wrong, something like that, and the drummer. And these three people are part of Planetary. What they are is they are a part of a underground organization that has been around, and they find out the secrets of the world and the secrets of history on Earth, and also, you know, protect it from if anything's happening. And it's they take all the tropes from different pop culture and comics, like I said. So like there's a Godzilla issue where they have to like protect people from Godzilla, but they never say Godzilla, but you know that's what it is. And then there's a Thor issue where they do the same thing. There's a Sherlock Holmes issue, a Doc Savage issue, just all these different things that they bring in, and they never say this is what it's about, but if you know, or by the end you're like, oh, that's what they're doing, and they bring it into this world that they've created. And through it, you realize like the mystery that's happening with this fourth man that's a part of the team, and a lot of really interesting things with a multiverse and all these crazy Warren Ellis writing, that just makes it so interesting though. And so it's a must pick up. I mean, anybody that likes comic books, you have to read it. It's collected into four trade paperbacks. And since John Cassaday drew it for 10 years, literally, I mean, you see John Cassaday's progression through 10 years. Like at the beginning, he's not the greatest artist. And at the end, I mean, you get John Cassaday that you see, not that you see on covers, but you remember, I mean, from like Astonishing X-Men. And it's absolutely beautiful. So, pick up Planetary. Definitely my favorite team, one of my favorite books of all time in comic book medium.
Nice.
For sure. How about you?
Well, my team I wanted to talk about this evening, believe it or not, is not going to be the Dark Avengers. It's not going to be Alpha Flight. It's going to say Canadian Awareness.
Basically, that's what... Isn't that what Alpha Flight is?
Sure is. It sure is. It's not the Thunderbolts, and it's not the X-Men. Pause.
Yeah, first of all, we've had 3 issues and we've talked about all those and all of them. And I said, we can't talk about all your favorites.
Gotta switch it up.
You have plenty more favorites.
There is one team that has always intrigued me. I actually still am reading it. We haven't really talked about it as much, though, being X Factor. And with X Factor, it's actually a team where you get everything under the sun. Kicking off in '86, we actually had the team being the original X-Men transition to this new title on there, and then what was it, 91 is when we meet the new core group being Cyclops' brother Alex Summers, Havoc, Polaris, Multiple Man, Strong Guy, kind of that vintage X Factor. Those of you that collected the Fleer cards, that kind of stuff, that's the characters I'm used to seeing. I used to collect all those cards and stuff, especially the ones at Pages of 9 when they had the Cosmo backgrounds that lined up all sweet.
I never did, but I mean that is prime for us. We were what, 6 years old when it was coming.
Right into that. I was
right when it was coming out. So
yeah,
I can see that. My mom wouldn't buy that crap for me. Mom, who I blame you.
Wonderful team though. I actually just got into some of the old stuff just to kind of get a feel for the transition of how it happened, how it went down, and so forth. Cyclops and all them were like, whoa, G2G, we're going to go back to the X-Men title. And it was just kind of a neat transition. X Factor back then, in terms of Havoc and all them, were regarded more as the mutant police, which is kind of an interesting concept in the Marvel universe, as I'm sure it would be in DC or anywhere else. But just really regulated by the government, similar to Alpha Flight, but the government was pretty much telling them what to do, when to do it, stuff like that. Kind of an interesting cast, though. We got the core group in there, then we meet Random down the road, which is strangest character random. The guy that can shift his arms into big guns and has the bandana, looks like a biker, kind of like a Hulk Hogan without the mustache.
I must be drawing a blank. I don't remember.
Very, very good character, but just weird.
He sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, he's different. You got Quicksilver in the mix on and off, which is kind of an interest. Yeah, I mean, between the Brotherhood and then we're gonna go to X Factor. Wolfsbane.
Yeah, I mean, she's
my heart.
She's still in the running around now. You know,
Yep.
that's what I still read that.
The one now, and we were talking about this, was the one that started in 2005 on there, and we are actually thankful to be under the umbrella of writer Peter David.
For sure. I mean,
Since 2005, so that's kind of neat.
6 years for one writer to be able to
You don't
keep
see
up
that as much,
especially at Marvel. So I mean, it is awesome.
Yeah, and I picked it up, just recently too, and finding out a little romance between Shatterstar and Richter. That's always a new approach for things. Seeing Monet St. Croix, if I pronounce that correctly, from the pages of Generation X. From back in the 90s, she's now an X Factor, and she's just a whoop-ass character. Just seeing how much she's grown for me, because I stopped collecting for a while, and then I picked it up again, and just, wow, like, that's a big character transformation for me. Let's see. I think that, I mean, Multiple Man, of course, has his issues. Strong Guys.
Yeah, I mean, Multiple Man's kind of like seems to be the leader.
Yeah, and they're like, now he is, and it's a detective organization now.
Exactly.
How crazy is that?
Private, private detective.
Yeah, and so it's cool. I really enjoy the book. I've been, what am I, about 40 deep now again, kind of thing, because I've been collecting for
since.
So it's been just a great read, a different offshoot. It's a light-hearted book, and that's kind of what I.
Well, exactly. It has. I mean. It doesn't get dragged into all the nonsense that happens in the other X books.
Or if there is a crossover, it dips its feet in, and it's like, I don't want to get in this pool.
And I mean, it's your kind of soap opera-ish title. Like there's always stuff. There's always stuff going on, and it's an ongoing title. And Peter David has the reins on all these characters, and I mean, you like them all, and I mean, you like, even though like Shatterstar was literally probably one of the worst characters in the history of comics during the 90s. At least I thought he was. I mean, he did absolutely nothing. He said, stand with an open mouth, have pointy shoes, and hold two swords all the time. That's all he ever did. Ah! No. And now he is like deep. He's still crazy. All the relationship stuff they have with him is great. I mean, Peter David has turned him into an awesome character, and that Rob Liefeld,
which he did need to. Yeah.
There's X Factor. I agree. X Factor's a sweet book.
It's definitely different from all my other favorites, but that, in a nutshell, is pretty much my team there. I'm kind of excited to see where the characters end up coming up. Kind of, hoping a little bit more, see a little bit of Alex Summers somewhere down the road, because he's not actively in this book anyways on there, and he's been kind of teetering between, the bad guy, I'll be Onslaught's Herald in this book, and then disappear for this 20-year period. I don't really.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't even know where Havoc would be right now.
So
you'd think with the movie that they'd be bringing him out,
right? So, anyways, that was my team.
Sweet, yeah. I mean, X Factor is great. My next team that I want to talk about is S.H.I.E.L.D. It's not per se a team. It's a organization kind of. Yeah. Absolutely. So I mean, but you can become a part of. I mean, you feel like you're a part of the team if you're a part of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's basically S.H.I.E.L.D. of what we have known is run by Nick Fury. Maria Hill's a part of it. Dum Dum Dugan, always Nick Fury's right-hand man. He seems to run it. He always says that he has to answer to a council, so he's not like the apparently ringleader, but we don't really know anything about them. It debuted a long time ago, back in the 60s, in Strange Tales with Doctor Strange, and they were both on the there was two books in that, or two different comics stories in the comic, and one of them was Doctor Strange and one was S.H.I.E.L.D. That went on for like 3 years, and then they got their own book for a while, and then it wasn't seen until like the 80s, and then they did a bunch of Nick Fury stuff. Nick Fury's the gruff guy, eye patch, and he's always like 87 steps ahead of everybody.
You got all those those duplicates of himself that you just see
LMGs.
they get shot up.
Dude, LMDs is the #1 answer for S.H.I.E.L.D. Life model decoys.
Gosh.
It is like always happens where you think Nick Fury got shot in the head. No, it's just life model decoy.
Just kidding.
Even though he just gave like a giant speech, got the whole troops rallied and stuff, but it was really a robot the whole time. That is such a trope that they play. And it's just so cool that I don't know if it's U.S. or UN sanctioned, but I mean, it seems that they can have control all over the world. And it has, been taken over by Hammer during the Dark Reign kind of stuff. And, it always, it has different sword and all these other different kind of offshoots. But S.H.I.E.L.D. has always been there. It's a, intelligence group, a super CIA group, and they have spies, and they're just all military background, and they're they're better the world apparently, and that's all it's ever been. That's was really cool. And then in 2010, Marvel gave the reins to Jonathan Hickman to put out his book that is entitled S.H.I.E.L.D. And so far we've had the first volume, which is 6 issues, and then 1 issue in the second volume. And it's going to, continue going on. It only comes out bi-monthly, so, 6 issues a year. But it has made S.H.I.E.L.D. so much deeper and so much better than, just regular old LMDs and Nick Fury, always thinking he's smarter than everybody else. It starts out with this character that you don't know, Leonid, and he is picked up by Howard Stark and Nathaniel Richards, so Iron Man's dad and Mr. Fantastic's dad, and they're agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the S.H.I.E.L.D. that we would know, the military S.H.I.E.L.D., and they take this Leonid, this young boy, into Rome, and then they go down these steps through this magical place, and all of a sudden they're in the immortal city, and that's directly below Rome. And this is where the councilmen that Nick Fury has always had to answer to live, and they're immortal. And they pull in all these different things through actual history into the Marvel Universe. So the main characters, besides those 3, are going to be Nostradamus, Galileo, Da Vinci, Isaac Newton, Tesla, Imhotep, not the Egyptian, I'm not pronouncing that right. And it just basically chronicles Marvel history of S.H.I.E.L.D. is that we even thought was just some military thing, has actually been around since the beginning of time, fighting when the Brood attacked, like the X-Men insect aliens, they're the Brood, that we know. Apparently they attacked a long time ago when Imhotep in the Egyptian days, and had to fight him, and he fought him with a shield and a shield and a spear, and he ended up killing the queen of the Brood, and then they all died because that's how the Brood works. Yeah. And the shield protected the west, the spear in the east, and then so the S.H.I.E.L.D. has been around since that time. And what it is an organization to further mankind, to better mankind, and to protect mankind. And in turn, they do all these crazy things. Galactus comes and that issue. You remember reading those? You read it, didn't you?
What first cameo or
when you read? Have you read these Shields?
No, I only read the first 2.
Yeah, I think because you were borrowing them from me back then. So, but Galactus comes and Galileo has to take care of him. He builds this big gun, and they're like, "Oh, how do you know it's gonna work?" He's like, "It has to, because this isn't the end of the world." So that's a big thing. They apparently know the end of the world. And he uses this giant gun attached to 1,000 people's heads and uses their brainwaves and takes out Galactus. And it is just the craziest concept ever. And that's just one small part. I mean, it is filled into all these different things. And there's when the Egyptians are fighting the Brood, you see Apocalypse in the background.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even a part of the book. I mean, it's just all these cool things.
A statue of him or him?
Him.
Little or big?
Well, big. I mean, it is.
He was but he wasn't a child or anything at the time.
No,
it was actually Apocalypse.
I mean, it's like he's fighting right next to.
Oh.
Right there.
Weird.
And so I'll show a picture of that because you guys got to see it. I mean, and the art is just absolutely amazing. Look at the Brood. The guy in the middle's Imhotep or Imhotep.
Okay.
And then you got Apocalypse.
And he's
right
blue with his shirt off.
And he's badass. And I mean, it's just like there's tons of these things that they put in through history and brought in the Marvel history into it to make it such a deep book. And I absolutely love it. It's, I think a lot of times DC has those evergreen titles. And by that I mean like a title that will continue to sell for a long time. You know, Watchmen, they can still print it and it will still sell like gangbusters. The Dark Knight, it still goes through printings all the time because those will always sell. And I think Marvel doesn't have those. I mean, they don't have there's not a Marvel series that everybody's like, oh, you have to have this. Like everybody owns Watchmen. No, there's not like one. Everybody owns Marvel books, but there's not that one book of Marvel that everybody owns. And I think this is what this could be. I mean, it is so intricate. It's so high level. He's not trying to talk down to you at all. He's expecting you to stay with him, and it takes a few reads. And it's if you're reading in single issues, I mean, it's tough. Yeah. You have to read it in the trade. Yeah, you have to read it in the trade. 2 months in between is too long. With the art so good, it's worth it. But like what I did, I'd always just read what I had up until I had it, or you know, when I'd get the new issue that would come out, I'd reread the back issues. So I was always okay with it because I took that extra time because I liked it so much. But I feel like if somebody does read it all the way through, you know, it is a game changing book, and it is a book that shows what you can do with comics and what you can do with the worn out Marvel universe that you think every story's been told and everything's been through. I mean, this just proves that. I mean, nothing is of that sort at all. There's tons of things you can still do. So, yeah. Get S.H.I.E.L.D. Get to it. It's only 7 issues deep. Word.
You have to catch me up.
Yeah. Definitely, bro. Well, alright, man. Cool. We got one thing left. One special occasion.
I don't know, man.
All right. Well, that was our team book thing, and you know, at the end we did the news last time, and this time we have something special for you.
Right. Well, we're actually just deciding to kind of, I don't know if we want to do a weekly thing about this or what, but just kind of a character rundown. Getting familiar with the oddities, the randoms, I saw them on page 54 or whatever trade kind of thing. Just kind of getting familiar with the random character on their hero, villain, whatever. So, I picked one this week with the help of my friend Gabe, and for future ones, if you guys hit up our YouTube or Facebook with request, absolutely. I mean, it's a good opportunity for me to learn, so just you let me know what you'd like me to review. So this week, I'm actually tackling a Spider-Man villain that I met briefly in the 90s cartoon named Spot on there. So I have to get my little cheat sheet out here because this is a boatload of information for me. Spots. Alright, so it looks like here his first appearance is actually Spectacular Spider-Man number 99, and it's actually really vintage looking cover, kind of corny because the dude's in white tights popping out of black dots, hitting Spider-Man from about 5 directions on there.
So what's the deal with Spot? I mean, what does he do? What's his shtick?
What he does. He throws spots off of his suit, and these generate wormholes that he pops into and can pop out of. Comes in handy for bank robberies and so forth on there.
Oh, sure.
Real name is actually Dr. Jonathan Ohn. O-H-N-N.
He's a doctor.
He's a doctor, so he's a scientist. He was working for the Kingpin. Kingpin likes to hire people. Kingpin's got the brawn, he just, you know, he's a smart businessman, so work smarter, not harder. But he was actually trying to take Cloak, you know, Cloak and Dagger. He was trying to take Cloak's abilities, tapping into the Dark Zone a little bit, and basically the experiment went wrong, and Jonathan found himself conked out in the Dark Force universe, if you will.
Of his universe, or is this Cloak's Dark Force?
He assumed it was Cloak's.
Oh, okay.
With all these dots floating around him, so he actually navigated back to real time, and he was there covered in black dots on there. So kind of got the hang of it quickly. Had a quick bout with Spider-Man and Black Cat. Won that one, actually. When he first introduced himself to Spider-Man as a Spot, Spider-Man fell down laughing, which doesn't surprise me because Spider-Man's infamous for talking during battles and stuff like that. It's just kind of funny, though. This is a character that hates Spider-Man because of that. He essentially he's come back with all these agendas, using the negative zone resources, gets foiled by the Fantastic Four. He appears in the book Wolverine and gets killed by Elektra. But
he just fights back through spots. He finds a spot in hell and just ends up in...
Well, yeah, Hand resurrects him. During an assault on S.H.I.E.L.D., he gets killed by Wolverine. During Dark Reign, he's part of Hood's syndicate of criminals, which I didn't notice him at all, and I might have to reread what literature I do have about the Hood, because there's quite a bit.
Yeah, I remember that Hood miniseries.
But I didn't really notice Spot was on there. So basically, right now, I'm thinking Spot's probably incarcerated because Spider-Man caught him. I'm sure.
He's hiding out in somebody's.
Even if you did catch him, though, I mean, put him in jail, boom, gone. You know,
so is this a suit that he has, or is this a power that he can just take it off his body?
It's a power, but he chooses to pair it with a white suit.
So he has a white suit and he uses black dots.
Yeah, at least the classic appearance. I mean, some of the newer renditions, like with Hood's gang, I don't think he would have made it wearing that.
I don't think so either. Really got his mask on.
So all in all, it's just kind of a random character there. The fact that it was tied to Cloak, I thought was kind of cool, but...
Yeah, I mean, me and you both like Cloak and Dagger. I mean,
so I thought that was kind of cool. Oh, and he was also a mole for Mr. Negative, which was also a Dark Reign villain, which is another Negative Zone-based character. So you got Cloak, you got Spot, and you got Mr. Negative from the pages of Spider-Man.
Yep.
So.
Oh, Spider-Man, where have you been? What's the new Spider-Man event that's going to be coming up?
Spider Island?
Spider Island. So are you gonna pick up Spider Island? You haven't been picking up Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Do you think you will?
I don't think I will, just because I prefer my symbiote-based characters more. A little Carnage, a little Venom.
Are you picking up that Venom series?
I still am.
Yeah.
Keeping my fingers crossed. The next 2 issues are gonna be kind of a deal breaker for me because I got to cut back a little bit.
Yeah.
With what I'm collecting on a monthly basis. So Carnage, the 5-issue run, sweet. I was beyond tickled pink with that. Seeing Spider-Man get bitch slapped across the pages and Iron Man, yes.
No Spot though.
No Spot.
Oh,
but no,
man.
it was just Carnage. The Carnage thing was awesome. I thought,
Yeah. Yeah. You love your Spider-Man villains. You love Spider-Man villains more than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You always have.
Yeah. The Dark Avengers Spider-Man Venom pretending to be Spider-Man was way cooler. The Sinister Spider-Man book was 4 issues. Loved it. What is 4?
Was that during Dark Reign?
Yeah.
Everything you talk about during Dark Reign makes me want to blow my brains out.
Wow.
But Dark Reign, that guy who does art on that is awesome.
Yeah.
I hope we're gonna have to put up some pictures in the name of that guy because I remember that book. I was like, I'm not reading this garbage, and then you made me read it. I was like, that art is awesome.
For the Sinister Spider-Man has all just I actually have, and I'll put a picture of this up. I custom framed one of the covers of Sinister Spider-Man because I got that Dark Avengers poster book. I'll take a picture of it. It's hanging on my wall. It looks pretty damn awesome.
There you go. All right.
But yeah.
All right, man. Well, hey.
Totally off topic. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We can get off topic. It's our show. We can get off topic. But all right. Well, hey, thanks for coming back with us. A comic book look at gmail.com is our email. Please send us something. Tell us what you want to hear. Your comments, concerns, what we can do better, what we should change on the show. And, comment on the YouTube. Comment if it's on the Inveterate Media Junkies open thread. We'd love to hear what you guys say. If you did watch it, just leave a comment. Good or bad, we just want to hear it and hear from you. Check out a Facebook, search the group, A Comic Book Look, and come join our group. There's discussions on there every once in a while. And other than that, anything else, John, that you want to cover?
We look like a pair of Christmas bulbs with our shirts.
Lame.
Other than that, though, we really just appreciate the support and the feedback, and
all right,
we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, until next week.
Peace.